Let's not waste any time, man. Let's just go straight to the story. So a few days ago, ESPN host Malika Andrews, she got into a very heated argument with Stephen A. Smith. And of course, the argument was about how the Boston Celtics handled the whole Ime Udoka situation. So before I let you guys listen to the clip, let me just summarize Stephen A. Smith's position. So his main point was that if the Boston Celtics decided to fire Ime Udoka, they should have done it without revealing to the media what he did exactly to merit the firing. Now, the reason why it should have not been brought up to the media is because, when things like this happen in other franchises or companies, they usually, keep it to themselves, simply fire the people who partook in that saga. But instead, the Celtics did not fire him. They suspended him for the season, possibly indefinitely, while bringing out all the information about what he did. Stephen also brought up that the women who were involved in this situation should have also been held accountable for their actions. Unfortunately, this comment did not sit well with Malika Andrews. She came on ESPN First Take, and this is what she had to say.
Stephen A., with all due respect, this is not about pointing the finger. Stop. What became apparent to me in this press conference is that we do not have all of the information here. And it was frustrating to me that the Celtics declined to elaborate or to give more specifics about what exactly the rule breaking was that led us to this point. So that I just wanted to get that out of the way first. But to answer your question, Molly, I think what stood out to me, I think what stood out to me is that Brad Stevens, he was upset. That's what stood out to me about what he termed rampant Twitter BS is the word that he used, that women were unfairly dragged into this within the Celtics organization. You could see that Brad Stevens was visibly upset about this. And I also found that to be gross and unnecessary, that folks were bringing in the names and the images of women that is just not a fact, that was purely speculation. And so to me, that is what stood out. But the Celtics as an organization could have done more, and short of doing more ahead of this yesterday, they could have owned that responsibility in this press conference. I understand that there were legal parameters that they had to operate within for everybody involved, and I appreciate the fact that they brought in outside counsel and did a thorough organization, and I think that that is something that was clearly necessary in this situation. But the fact that it was able to go on all day, the fact that we are sitting here debating whether somebody else should have been suspended or not, we are not here, Stephen A., to further blame women. That is not why we are here.
First of all, let me be very clear. I don't appreciate where you're going with that. I'm not blaming anybody but Ime Udoka. He deserves, the fact of the matter is, I've said he deserved to be fired if they were going to fire him. If you're not going to fire him, then don't fire him. My issue is all of this being publicized. The point that I'm trying to make is just like you're not mentioning. Excuse me. I listened to you. You're the one telling me to stop on my show. It ain't happening. Okay, that's number one.
Kendrick Perkins also shared the same sentiment as Stephen A. Smith. And as you might have guessed it, Malika Andrews also shut him down. And she even went as far as kicking him off the show.
The word accountability, okay? Accountability doesn't just go to Ime Udoka, okay? Accountability goes to the other people that played a part in that as well. Let me tell you another thing I didn't like about my good friend Wick Grossbeck and Brad Stevens in this press conference when they asked, is anybody else going to be punished? And they said no. And my whole thing is this, right? These are some of the facts that have been out. These are some facts that I know that, this relationship, one of these relationships that was had with Ime Udoka and one of these women, it was consensual, meaning that this woman actually played a part in it too. So my thing is, yes, Ime Udoka was wrong. We get that. His punishment, he deserved that, and whatever else follows, I hate it for him, but he put himself in this position. But why are the other people getting left off the hook?
Well,
that's the
Kendrick,
problem that I have right now. Everybody got to be held accountable.
I think that we need to circle back to what Shanae said, is that there was an investigation that was conducted by an independent law firm here. And I think that transparency is what will rule the day here. And so without having all of the information, it is unfair and irresponsible of us to go and to speculate on that, because what we have to...
Well, I'm not speculating.
Sure.
I have the information. I'm not speculating.
But what we have to go with here is the fact that an independent law firm came in, did this investigation, and the facts that they were presented, they came to the conclusion that Ime Udoka violated a policy that warranted a 1-year suspension. And I share your frustration with the lack of transparency, while understanding that there is some things that they need to, from a legal perspective, keep private. But knowing all of that, understanding all of that, we have to come to the conclusion that whatever rule, the conduct that was broken on one side, it is not the same on the other side. I thank you for your perspective.
So where do we start? So she's telling Stephen A to stop blaming women, which is something Stephen A Smith never did. Just like Stephen A, I also believe that Ime Udoka should have been fired instead of being suspended, because he did it to himself. But because of how the whole thing happened, and you have several women on the Celtics organization who are being accused and dragged into this whole saga, which is something I do not approve. I do not approve of women being dragged into this situation when they had absolutely nothing to do with it. I do not approve of it. But let's be honest here. Let's be honest. I know the truth hurts, but we've got to be honest. There was always going to be speculations. It's called being humans and acting accordingly. When something happens and we do not know the full details, we tend to speculate. We speculate, who did what, when it happened, why it happened exactly, and so on. What Stephen A and Kendrick Perkins are simply saying is that Ime Udoka should have been fired, because by suspending him, you're allowing these speculations about the woman to grow even more. And you've got people out there naming every female staff member of the organization. Stephen A and Kendrick Perkins also want the woman to be held accountable for their action. That's it. It's not that hard to comprehend. I don't know why Malika Andrews is getting offended by what Stephen A and Kendrick Perkins had to say. Again, I completely understand certain things Malika Andrews was saying, particularly regarding how terrible it is to falsely accuse women who have nothing to do with the situation. But again, Stephen A nor Kendrick Perkins released that information. Like, why is she attacking them? That's the only thing I don't get. Why is she attacking Stephen A or Kendrick Perkins? Another problem I have with Malika Andrews is the way she's coming on these shows and trying to make Stephen A and Kendrick Perkins look bad on national television. And the way she responded to them came across as disrespectful and demeaning in some sense. At least that's how I saw it. And who are you? Who the hell are you coming on someone's show and cutting them off here and there? Like, the disrespect. The disrespect. My God. As you know by now, Joe Mazzulla was appointed as the Boston Celtics head coach for this upcoming season. Big up to him. Big up to him. Congrats to him. I'll be rooting for him this season, actually. But it seems like your girl, Malika, did not approve of this appointment. She basically brought up the fact that Joe Mazzulla was arrested for a fight he participated in when he was 18 years old. 18 years old. She just started bringing up this guy's past history like an FBI agent. But the funny part about this whole thing is that the charges were dropped. You know, he was not charged for any of the things Malika is accusing him of. So it's like, why? Why are you doing all this for? You know, I know why. I know why. I know exactly why she's doing it. But I prefer not to speak, because if I speak, I will be in big trouble. I'll just leave it as that. I'll leave it as that. You know, anyways, guys, let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this whole situation. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.